Well, we are thrilled to have with us the governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, political superstar. And her book just dropped today. It's called Not My First Rodeo, Lessons from the Heartland. Governor Kristi Noem, it is a thrill to meet you in person. Welcome to Newsmax.
It's fantastic to be here. Everybody's been so wonderful. I just might stay for a little bit.
Oh, really? The big city?
Well, for an hour or two. Then I got to head back.
Not My First Rodeo, Lessons from the Heartland. By the way, thank you for the book, but I just downloaded it as well. I bought it.
Good. Well, I appreciate that.
Number one lesson?
Well, my dad said consistently to us growing up, he said, you don't complain about things, you fix them. I think that's really how I ended up in government and politics, was because of that advice. My dad was killed in an accident when I was in college. He was only 49 years old at the time, and it overturned our whole lives. We got hit with death taxes, and all of a sudden we have this tragedy in our family, and then we have a tax bill where we owe the federal government hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that we couldn't pay. So, people always ask how I got involved in government. In politics, it was because of that. It made me angry. So I just started showing up at meetings, recognizing I couldn't complain. I had to fix it.
Sorry, but what kind of accident was he involved in?
It's on our operation. There is grain bins on farms that hold thousands of bushels of grain, and he had gone into one, and it had a crust on the top, and he fell through hard grain on the top, and it buried him and suffocated him.
And how many siblings did you have?
I have a sister and two brothers. I'm the third of four, and my younger brother, who was a senior in high school, was with him at the time. So we got payloaders, started ripping the grain bin apart. Back then, we didn't have 911. So I remember one of the hired guys that worked for us called my mom up at the house and said, get help. And she called the local elevator, which was 2 miles away, and all of a sudden we had 100 farmers in our yard digging through the corn trying to find Dad.
Well, tough stuff. He must be very, very proud of you now, where he is, where I believe he is. And all right. Well, lesson number two.
Yes. Well, I would say, to work hard. And then also he gave us impossible things to do every day. He was a cowboy, so he was very tough. And I think, many days we thought maybe he was trying to kill us by the jobs he gave us, because he never taught us to do anything. I tell a story in the book about driving a semi at the age of 12. And he didn't teach us to do that. In fact, we were going down the road, taking it home from the field, and he remembered he had to bring another truck home. So he said, Kristi, jump over here, grab the wheel, take your corners wide, and take it home, and was gone. I remember diving across the cab of that semi and grabbing the wheel, not knowing how to shift, stop, do anything. Made it the 7 miles home and didn't even know how to stop the truck, so turned it off. And I remember thinking to myself when that truck finally stopped, I cannot believe that I lived. And then the next thought in my head was, I bet I can drive anything now.
How old were you again?
I was 12. 12 years old.
Well, better than Ben Affleck's kid. Yeah. I don't know if you know what he did.
I did see what he did. Yeah, I'm lucky I made it home.
Well, listen, there aren't many governors, quite frankly, of South Dakota in the past that folks are familiar with or were familiar with when they were in office. You are a superstar, whether you like it or not.
It didn't start out that way.
It didn't start out that way. But, and actually, they were trying to cancel you because of COVID, in a way. Tell us a little bit about that. What made your approach different?
Well, I think most of the people in this country, the first time they heard my name was during COVID, when liberals were attacking me for the decisions I was making in South Dakota. Rachel Maddow, Elizabeth Warren, night after night on the national news, saying I was irresponsible and dangerous, reckless for what I was doing. But I really just believe that governors should only do their job. They shouldn't overstep their authority, especially in a time of crisis. And so South Dakota was the only state in the country that never once closed a single business. We didn't even define what an essential business was, because I don't believe that governors have the authority to tell you your business isn't essential. Never mandated anything. I just told my people I was going to trust them and give them personal responsibility, and we would get through it together. So, it was through all that, people learned who I was. And while the left has attacked me, and at times the right, because in those early days, I wasn't getting any support from anybody because it was such a very different path that we took. But I think South Dakota is an example now today. #1 economy in the country. Our kids are leading the nation in educational outcomes, fastest growing incomes of any place in the country. I have less than 600 people in the whole state that are on unemployment. People are happier. So I really think that what we did in our state is just what conservatives always say we believe. We did it and it worked.
So you're in demand right now as a conservative who is pro-life, and Roe v. Wade has been overturned. And I saw you on the Sunday shows, and they're trying to trap you in this and that. It's a consistent talking point I hear from the left. Women will die. Now, people die, and it's obviously triggering, it's emotional, and we can work so that people don't die. And there are a lot of alternatives. But when you hear that, and I heard Hillary Clinton say it this morning, what do you say?
I say that they're lying. What the Supreme Court did was a decision that returned the power back to the states to have this conversation. The Supreme Court fixed a wrong decision from almost 50 years ago that now says that every state gets the opportunity to have their elected officials have this debate with the public there closer to home, which was appropriate and is something that states have the right to do under our Constitution. So South Dakota is a pro-life state. We had a trigger law in place that said that abortions would be illegal if Roe was ever overturned, except to save the life of a mother. I'm proud of that. I think that we have to have states that recognize they can come alongside mothers in this situation, that there are states that recognize that may be a crisis for someone and that they need support, health care, counseling, and maybe mentors to help them connect with maybe even adopted families who want to give their children a home.
Can you see yourself being president someday?
No. I would be concerned about anybody that sees themselves being president someday. I think that probably the last thing we need is a president that wakes up every day passionate about wanting to be president. Sometimes, seems like at times it could be a miserable job, and it would be nice to have a reluctant president for once, one that does it out of duty rather than trying to have power and to get it for the position. We have a lot of really good, talented people. But anyone who would tell you that, that they have to be the one, that they're the only one, I would say anybody with good common sense that appreciates the Constitution, that understands the role of government in people's lives as defined by our founders, is someone I would first consider.
Somebody who wants to get something done rather than just be president. Which, by the way, and we're basically wrapping up now. Donald Trump, I think, feels that way. When's the last time you talked to him? If you can tell us, what's he telling you?
I talk to him quite often. He's doing very well. He's very interested in running for president. I think he will. If he does run for president, I don't think there's anybody that can beat him in a primary. He's very popular. There's an incredible amount of people that are conservatives in this country that are extremely loyal to him. For him, the challenge would be a general election, and he knows that. He would have to build a team that can convince people that he can run this country in a way that upholds the law, makes people more safe, and gives them more opportunity to be successful.
Well, Governor Kristi Noem, great to meet you. The book is, let's put it up on the screen for everybody, Not My First Rodeo, Lessons from the Heartland by Governor Kristi Noem. Thank you so much. And what's this all about?
Greg, every time I come see you, I want to bring you a special gift from South Dakota, and you cannot make good decisions unless you own a cowboy hat.
Wow, and it's a black hat.
It's a black hat. You look just like Johnny Cash in it. That's perfect. Look
Really?
at you. You do. You look like Johnny Cash.
Come on.
Yep.
Let me see. Did you sign the inside of it?
I
You
did.
sure did.
Yep.
This is very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I got to give you something.
No, you're good. Your
what
phone.
have I? You want this bottle of water?
Take the bottle of water.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting this.
No.
Thank you so much.
You
all right,
bet.
to
Thank
be
you.
continued, and we'll be right back. Get the book, everybody. Governor Noem, thank you.
That's great. Thank you. That's
Ma'am.
great. It looks good on you. Yes, you're going to be wearing that.